It's championship weekend in the NFL. The Rangers go across seas to try to compete with the Angels, and GM Danny Ainge of the Celtics may break up the Big Three.
All that and more coming your way. You're watching The Pitch.
Welcome to The Pitch. Fox is out this week, but as always, I am Mitch Sabatelli, and sitting next to me is Mike Peps.
What's up?
And if you saw in our last episode, we have this new thing where there's a menu at the beginning of the show. It should be on this area right here. You can scroll through it, and say you don't like a certain topic that we're talking about, you can always go back to right at this point. There's a little click thing in the bottom right-hand corner where you can say back to menu, and then
skip to what you want to
press back to menu, and you can skip right over the topic. So say if you're not an NHL guy, you can skip to basketball talk. If you're not a baseball guy, and so forth.
See some football action.
It's
whatever you want to see.
Makes it a little bit easier.
It's up to you.
The show's only going to be one part, and it's going to be a little bit longer, but this way you can filter through the stuff you don't want to watch.
Yep.
And the stuff you don't want to watch. But we start with the big news. It's NFL Championship weekend. It's Uggs versus Suggs right now as Brady and the Pats are going to be taking on T-Sizzle and the Ravens. But first, I want to talk about the game in the divisional matchup. Brady ends Tebow magic. And say what you want about that Broncos offense. Say what you want about Tim Tebow. That Broncos defense is a stout defense with Dumerville, Miller, and Champ Bailey back there. It's a very good defense. And for Brady to put up 5 touchdowns in the first half, an NFL record, and for Gronk to score 3 in the first half, Patriots 45-10 all over the Broncos.
That was great.
What an impact game! And I know Broncos. That was the weakest of the pack right there for for playoffs. But that's
the best case scenario for us.
Statement game right there.
Them are the Bengals, the best case scenario.
Oh, absolutely.
Really big game for the Patriots. I mean, Tom Brady 6 touchdown passes, 35 points in the first half.
And I think he could have more too.
He could add more, but you saw what he was doing. It was to the point where he was punting the ball to the other team.
It was 3rd and 10. It wasn't even 4th down.
Yeah, 3rd and 10, just punt the ball to the other team and starting a big brawl. That's besides the point. But I mean, he was doing it out of good laughter. It was like I think it was like Dumerville, like him in the chest. Yeah. It was like, yeah, a good one.
I would have rather seen him go for the record rather than punt it.
I wish I saw him.
But I think Brady was just rubbing in his face. Listen, I don't even need to break records. I'm just going to punch it on your ass, and we're just going to dominate you.
Like the time they ran 3 straight times, I wish they just passed it once.
My favorite stat in the whole game. Brady, like I said, 5 touchdowns first half. Tim Tebow, 3 completions in the first half. That's it. Brady had 2 more touchdowns than Tebow had completions in the first half. That's how much the Patriots rolled over Denver and the Broncos. No more Tebow magic. Yeah. Brady stops Tebow magic twice this year. The two peak moments of Tebow were right when the Patriots beat them in the regular season, throttled them, and then now right after they take down the Steelers. But yeah, it was amazing.
I think a lot of credit should definitely go to Tebow, though. I mean, I know he gets credit all over the media and everything, but everyone hates on this guy since high school. All the coaches and everything was saying to him,
"Oh,
you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it in college." They were saying in college, "You're not going to make it in the NFL." They're saying in the NFL, "You're not going to make it."
No, I'm a Tebow fan.
He made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
I give him a lot of credit for that. And he had to face pretty much the best offense in the whole NFL in the Patriots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to have a tough time. I understand Tebow's not on defense, but still rattled by the fact that you're facing one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and you got Belichick planning in the back.
Yeah, listen,
I have
tremendous respect for Tim Tebow. And like what Pep said, he's battled some serious adversity through his career, and he's come back through everything and proved critics wrong. But we got to move on here. Like I said, it's Patriots versus the Ravens. And Peps, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
I thought at first it was going to be like a tougher decision than I was thinking, but then I understand the Texans have a really, really good defense, but I saw the way Flacco and then we're playing last weekend against the Texans, and it just didn't seem like they meshed well at all. It seemed like they were depending too much on Rice. Flacco wasn't really getting to throw the ball as much. I mean, granted, when he can throw it downfield, if he can beat like cornerbacks and throw it deep downfield, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes, but I mean, it didn't seem to be working for them. In all fairness, they were pretty lucky to pull that one out. But I mean,
Ray Rice
I'm
had
gonna,
a pretty good game.
yeah, and 3 turnovers by T.J. Yates pretty much helped them
Yeah.
too, because I don't think Tom Brady will give him that this weekend.
It looked like T.J. Yates. You could see the whole game. He wanted to go to Andre Johnson, and all the Ravens really had to do was just stop Andre Johnson. And Aaron Foster had a real good game. He gave it everything he had in that game, and he was pissed when he thought they were going to lose there. You saw him walking over to the other end of the sideline.
Yeah.
But, T.J. Yates, I mean, he's a rookie quarterback. And he's not even a highly touted rookie quarterback. He
to come into a situation like that, I give him credit. I do give him
I
credit, especially the fact that a lot of people didn't even think they'd beat the Bengals in the first round. And
Nope.
I mean, I didn't. I thought the Bengals would win.
All right, listen. Let's just go through the Texans' season right here. Aaron Foster comes in, and everyone's looking at him as eclipsing Adrian Peterson as possibly the best running back in the game. He's out the first quarter of the season. Then Andre Johnson gets hurt as soon as Aaron Foster gets back, and then there's Mario Williams, who's done, who's that anchor in that defense. Texans still have an elite defense after Mario goes down, and all of a sudden Matt Schaub goes down, and T.J. Gates comes in. Give Gary Kubiak, the coach of the Texans, all the credit there. But I got to talk about this right now. When I'm talking about the Ravens Patriots, I look at this. This is an excellent matchup for one reason. I think they are completely the opposite of, if you look at the teams,
of each other.
Complete opposites of each other.
Yeah.
Now look, the Patriots are very offensive centric, except they don't have a running game. The Ravens are very defensive with all those stars. You got Nada, Reed, Lewis, Suggs. The list goes on and on. Jarrett Johnson. But I really like this matchup, and I think, like I said, the defense wins championships, and Ravens look like on paper that they should be the ones that go in the Super Bowl. However, that Patriots offense is so explosive. Say what you want about defense and running game, and that's what the Ravens have. They have Ray Rice. And they have that defense, and they have Vontae Leach back there in the fullback to block for Ray Rice. They have everything, a Super Bowl caliber team, very solid, very good coach there with Joe Harbaugh. But I just want to say, but for the offense, I think it's going to be too much to cover for the Patriots. Look at what the Patriots can bring you. Yeah, you can say stuff about the Patriots don't have any guys on the outside, and that's the big weakness for the Ravens. You can. And Ravens can match up in the inside game. However, this quickness of Wes Welker and Deion Branch slants, the accurate passing of Tom Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, and this emergence of the Boston Tea Party, Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, human mismatches for any defense there is. I really like the Patriots offense. All Ben Jarvis Greenhouse has to do in the backfield is not fumble, like he's been doing all year. And I think the Patriots could roll because of offense. And I think they're a little bit too, and especially there's one other thing. They're a little old there with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. But Ed Reed's also
unbelievably talented.
And Ed Reed's also a little hurt, banged up there. And I expect Tom Brady to put pressure on Ed Reed right there. Maybe you'll see a Chad Ochocinco sighting. But I just had to go on a little rant there.
What I want to say is something about the Ravens. The fact that what's always been their problem is, you notice how Tebow was part of the media, like a big part of the media last week against Patriots. Nothing was said about the Pats.
Yeah.
It's all about the Ravens, and Ed Reed calling out Joe Flacco this week. I think that's one of the dumbest things you could ever do.
Absolutely.
I like Ray Lewis's approach. I like how he's like, I saw something special in this guy. Because Ray Lewis is like thinking, Ed Reed, what are you thinking? Why would you call out our quarterback right before one of the biggest games of his career against one of the toughest teams in the NFL?
And I mean,
very stupid
too. We should know that.
And it's always been like this. It's always been like this with the Ravens. They've always been defensive bound, and the defense has always put down the offense, where the offense has never had the confidence to fully overcome the fact that the offense is not as important.
Absolutely.
And which makes Flacco feel his lack of importance, which is pretty much the leader of the whole entire offense besides Ray Rice. And it's like, I mean, without a passing game at all, I mean, granted he can run and he can play defense, you're not going to win. I don't think you can win a Super Bowl like that. You need to be able to rely somewhat on the passing game. And for Reed to do that to Flacco and just call him out like that is just unnecessary and a little immature.
I gotta talk about this one other elephant in the room here. A lot of people can say, oh, look, 2 years ago the Ravens ran all day against the Patriots. Ray Rice was huge against the Patriots. But if you look at the Patriots offense, and a lot of people say, oh, well, they had Moss and Welker. They didn't have Welker. Welker was out for that playoffs. All they had was Moss. And all you have to do is double cover Moss. Their next weapons there were Edelman. They didn't have these tight ends. They had Edelman, they had Tate, and they had Benjamin Watson. Edelman's buried on the depth chart right now. Tate's just a average at best kick returner for the Bengals right now. And Benjamin Watson, he's just washed up right now. So all of a sudden you insert Wes Welker, arguably the greatest possession receiver of all time, and these two unstoppable forces in Gronk and Hernandez.
They're so different. They're so different in the way they act in tight ends.
Absolutely.
Something I'd never seen before. Gronk is so big, such a mismatch of problem. Hernandez is so big. You don't expect the tight end to be that fast. He's fast. He can move the field. He can catch the ball and get yards after catch. He's leading pretty much in the yards after catch, like one of the leaders in the Patriots offensive receiving core with yards after catch. I mean, these two are so great. They spread the field, and if they're not spreading the field, then it's going to be Branch and Welker spreading the field, causing them to get open. So there's always going to be somebody open. So granted, the Ravens are going to have their problems come Sunday.
And there's one other thing. You could say the same thing about, come on, Mitch. What about last year when they had Aaron Hernandez and Robert Gronkowski and they couldn't get by the Jets?
They're so explosive now.
The Jets had two elite quarterbacks over there. The Ravens don't have that. And also, Gronk and Hernandez numbers are not even only better. Look down the line; they have absolutely doubled.
Yes.
These tight ends, I've never seen an improvement in production like these two guys. And also, Welker was benched in that first quarter. And all of a sudden, you throw all these guys out there. It's going to be impossible for these Ravens to stop them, and especially because they're a little bit aging over there. Haloti Nine is going to have a big game, but Peps, what is your X factor of this game?
The X factor for me is, you can say Pat's defense, whatever. I think X factor is Joe Flacco.
Okay.
Can Joe Flacco produce points? Can he feel confident enough and have his defense trust him enough to be able to put points up and let him throw the ball? Like he really, I mean, granted, he's never really talked about as a really good quarterback. But if he has the opportunity, he has a cannon for an arm.
He does.
He can throw down.
He does.
So here's the thing: if he can blow by if the receivers can get by the Patriots cornerbacks and throw deep, that is how you'll definitely be able to beat them with the passing for Flacco.
And I would say
Flacco can succeed in this game.
I want to say a few other things. You can look at the Patriots cornerbacks over there with Devin McCourty and Kyle Arrington. Kyle Arrington led the league in interceptions. However, he was just in the right place at the right time for a lot of those picks.
I always see him getting beat.
You can also say Devin McCourty. Yeah, he was a Pro Bowler last year. He has digressed so much in the second year. In Belichick's even having to throw him at safety. They have no corners over there. So my X factor, I'm going to agree with Peps a little bit here, is can Flacco bring it with Torrey Smith on the outside and Anquan Bolden on the outside, and I think that could torch the Patriots cornerbacks. However, I think there's a bigger X factor here, and I said going into the playoffs, the one team I didn't want to play is the Ravens because of Ray Rice. If you can keep Ray Rice to either 100 yards or less in this game,
he's going to get his no matter what. It's like Brady. You get yours. He's going to get his. I mean, it's going to be so hard to stop him. So hard. I will give Flacco the opportunity to throw all day before I let Ray Rice run 200 yards in the Patriots.
I will make a bet. If Ray Rice gets under 100 yards, you can hold him to 110 minus. If you got less than 110 yards, I think the Patriots win by a landslide. However, the only thing I'm worried about is what if Ray Rice breaks 200 yards here, and then the Patriots could be in trouble.
But still, though, if he could break 200 yards, but like it's been, if Flacco is inconsistent and doesn't have faith in his own throwing and is safe passing, and the key for Flacco really here, don't turn the ball over.
Absolutely. The
key of beating the Pats, whatever it was, a few years ago, I think it was, what they were saying on the radio earlier today, and he had a 77% completion percentage with 2 touchdowns, no turnovers at all. That's how he beat the Pats with the 6-1. That's how they got the one loss to the Pats, because he was safe. He didn't turn the ball over, and then they just did their thing with the defense and the running game and everything.
Absolutely.
So that's the key for Flacco. Be safe. Don't be stupid. Don't be afraid to throw the ball downfield, though, when the opportunity arises.
And moving on to the NFC, that was good, but we're going to move on to the NFC here. Rodgers and Breeze are out, and that's going to be something the Patriots fans have to look forward to, because I don't mean to be a little Patriots bias here, but I was worried. I said, listen, if they do get to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to match Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. I am so pumped that they're out of here. However, Alex Smith looked like one of them last week. He absolutely dominated over there for the 49ers, and he's on the 49ers right now, going against Eli and the Giants, who are absolutely hot right now, on a tear, going into the playoffs again. But I just want to talk about this Saints Alex Smith game right here. Alex Smith that was one of the greatest games I have seen in a solid 5 years right now. Back and forth, that last 4 minutes was epic. And what Alex Smith did in that last 2 minutes was flawless right there. And I got to give him some major props. I have increased my respect for him tremendously from that game. And Vernon Davis, you can say about he was crying. This guy, Mike Singletary,
But he's still at hell himself.
Mike Singletary, their coach 2 years ago, actually said, "Listen, Vernon, go hit the showers. I want some winners." So him making that catch was a huge boost of confidence for his energy level, and I really liked what Vernon Davis and Alex Smith brought from that game.
They even said after the game, they said this is showing that Vernon Davis has come from an unexperienced NFL player to coming into his own now.
Absolutely.
Showing that he's matured as a player. He's not as juvenile as he was when he first came into the league. And I loved that game last week. I mean, granted, I ended up catching it, but I was working that day, so I did miss it. But hearing about what was happening, and then the last 4 minutes, I mean, for Smith to make a move like that, run the 15-yard run they did for that touchdown, that was a huge play. And then at the end of the game, having the balls to step up right at that line and gunning it right to Vernon Davis, trusting your receiver like that.
Not only that, Drew Brees, who a lot of people say might have had the best quarterback season of all time right there, comes down the field and throws a dart to Jimmy Graham, and they score. To have that confidence level, to come back with a minute left there and to get down the field and throw to Vernon Davis, that was huge. But, all right, so the 49ers are taking on the Giants here. Peps, what's your take?
Oh man, this is way tougher call than the Ravens-Pats because the Giants have a very good, I think they have a better offense than the 49ers. But the 49ers beat the Giants in defense. I mean, I was thinking of going with the 49ers. I was thinking, I want to see like the old adage, defense wins championships in the final. But I've been sticking with the Giants for the last month. When I picked them to win every game, starting with the game against the Jets, which trying to get them back into the playoffs, and I'm going to stick with them again. I honestly think that San Fran's good for the run. I understand they're a good defense in general, but I think Manning can pass through them eventually. I think he'll be able to pass through them over time in that game, be able to set up with the duo backs and Bradshaw and Jacobs. I think he'll be able to eventually take down because he has so many weapons on his offense with the two backs that are so good. And then you have Manningham, you got Cruz, and you've got Nix, and then you got Ballin tight end. So I mean, I honestly think I'm gonna go with the Giants because their adversity is amazing. And I mean, trust me. I mean, I will give all the credit in the world to the 49ers. One of the best turnarounds I've ever seen of a team in the NFL.
You gotta give it to Jim Harbaugh.
Oh yeah, definitely. One of the best turnarounds I've ever seen. And I call this the NFC Championship of the underdogs. Because like you said, Rodgers and Brees were supposed to make it. And they didn't. And now it's just the 49ers and the Giants. And I mean, I honestly believe if it's Giants magic again, honestly, if it comes down to say if the 49ers and the Ravens get in, I want to see the 49ers beat them. Because I want to see the 49ers have the best turnaround I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there, Peps. And like you said right there, there's always that team. You look at last year, Packers inching their way into the playoffs as the 6th seed. There's always that hot team that has to win that game in the regular season to get into the playoffs. And then after that momentum takes them to the next game, which takes them to the next game. And you always see a team like that, which is what the Giants did back in 2007 as they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Reminiscing of the team.
And you see what the Packers did last year. And there's always that team. And the Giants are so good in the playoffs. And out of all the 4 teams, say what you want about the Patriots offense and how those receivers, they have the most complete offense on paper with the running game. You throw Bradshaw out there, you throw Jacobs out there, you throw Hakeem Nicks out there.
They're the most complete team left in the NFL playoffs. I believe so.
I think so.
I believe so.
Because that defense is stout too.
Very good offense. Pretty good defense
Pass
too.
rush.
The thing is, pass rush especially. They were putting so much pressure last week. It was ridiculous.
But I just want to say a few things. Like I said, I think it's going to be the 49ers, their defense is very good. And what I saw from that last game of the Saints, the shutdown of the Saints, was huge. However, the 49ers, they lack one thing there is their corners. Nate Clements is pretty good. However, I think they're not going to be able to stop all 3 of Manningham, Nix, and Cruz. In that, you got the Nix guy who can go deep, and that was an amazing Hail Mary catch right there. You got Manningham as your slot receiver who can also go deep. And Victor Cruz has emerged as a legit number 1 on almost any other team. He can go slants, he's fast. And then you got the 2 dual threats in the back. And also Eli Manning, who has complete composure in the playoffs. Better than his brother, in my opinion, when it comes to playoff time and not crapping his pants in the playoffs. Eli has had terrific playoff career, and I
He
think
steps up when it counts.
and it's just continuing. And I think this matchup is going to be real good for the Giants. However, the 49ers have some serious players on defense, similar to the Ravens. You look at Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, the two best middle linebacker pairing in the whole entire game. Alvin Smith, the rookie, with great getting out to the pass rusher there. Double digits in sacks over there. Alden Smith, very underrated rookie out there. You see Von Miller, nobody really talks about Alden Smith. And also that line with Isaac Sobuaga and Justin Smith, the veteran over there. Like I said, Clements, he's decreased in skill a little bit these past years. However, he's still very valuable out there in the corner. And also, in my opinion, say what you want about Ed Reed and DeJuan Landry. Say what you want about Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark. And for my money, I'm taking Dante Whitner and Deshaun Goldson as the best strong safety, free safety pairing in the whole entire NFL. What I saw last week with them both making plays was huge. Dante Whitner can make plays from anywhere and hits like a mother. And also Deshaun Goldson has a huge year this year. They have some tremendous chemistry right there. And with Willis and Navarro Bowman and also Goldson and Whitner in the backfield there, it's going to be very tough.
Question for you. What do you think the X factor will be in that game? We talked about the X factor with Ravens-Pats.
That's
with the 49ers.
That's where we're going right there. I'm going to say, can the 49ers stop those big three of Manningham, Cruz, and Nix? And I don't think they can. I think the Giants are going to be... We didn't really have a score. By the way, what's your score for the Patriots-Ravens game?
I'm going to go with 30-17 Patriots.
I'm going 35-21 Patriots. And for this game, I'm going to say the Giants win pretty good here. It's going to be 28-13 right now, I think, Giants. Alex Smith had a great game. I think it's going to be tough. Alex Smith played against that weak Saints defense. I think the Giants defense is a little bit better over there. I think Alex Smith is going to have a little bit of a high going into this game, and I think he's going to crop his pants more than he did last game.
I'm going to go 24-14 Giants.
Yeah, all the Giants.
I mean, the X factor for me, honestly, I just want to go over this real quick. The X factor for me is, can Alex Smith throw the ball down the field? It's kind of like with Flacco. Can he produce? I understand he had that great ending to the game, but in all fairness to Alex Smith, say what you want about what he looked like and everything, I feel as if he may be getting a little much credit in fact for everything. I mean, granted, hey, I give him all the credit in the world. Just like the 49ers, he himself has turned himself around to be a more than average quarterback in this league. Honestly, I mean, with what Harbaugh has
and a
done
lot of people consider him one of the biggest busts ever. Throwing him up there with Ryan Leaf and Jamarcus Russell, which didn't give him as much credit, but he
so now he has a coach who believes in him, and he's got a defense who believes in him and believes in themselves, and then he's got Frank Gore, who definitely believes in himself and is a beast in the running back position, and if he can just get those passes and be safe with the ball, if he is safe with the ball and takes risks down the field, kind of like a Flacco, I believe the 49ers can pull this off. I'm not even worried about the defense and the fact. I understand the Giants, they will get their passes, they will spread the field, do what they got to do, but in all honesty, San Fran, I trust in their defense enough. I mean, I'm picking the Giants, granted. I'm picking the Giants, but I can trust in their defense enough that if Alex Smith has a good game, where he can go completion percentage of like 60% over and be safe with the ball, get a couple touchdowns, no turnovers like a Flacco did years ago when he beat the Pats that time, I believe they can pull this off. I honestly don't see that happening with the Giants bum rush from the Pats.
All right, we're going to move on a little bit here. I just want to make one more point before we move on. Like Pep said, I think Frank Gore is going a little undervalued here in this playoffs. I think he's going to have a real big game, and he didn't really need to have one with Alex Smith against that weak Saints defense. This Giants defense is a little bit better when that pass rush is going to be getting to Alex Smith. Alex Smith is going to be able to move around the pocket. Unlike he had, nobody was getting to him with the Saints. Now he has to go against the giant paparazzi with Jason Pierre-Paul, who's having a fantastic season. Justin Tuck, Matthias Kuanuka, O.C.U. Manura breathing down his throat. That's similar to the 2007 season with Antonio Pierce, Michael Strahan, Tuck coming into his own. It's gonna be real tough for Alex Smith. I like the Giants in this game pretty easily.
I don't think any of these games will be a blowout. If there was going to be a blowout, I'd obviously say the Giants. I think the Giants and San Fran will be a semi-low scoring battle, a grind of scrappy teams.
But we got to move on here. We're moving on to a little baseball talk, and there was a lot of news in this week here. The Rangers beat the clock as they lock up the Japanese ace. And the last time we said that was Daisuke Matsuzaka, so who knows here. And they get Yu Darvish for 6 years, $60 million, and they after that 51 bidding, that posting fee to get him in the first place, to talk for the rights to talk to him.
It's like over $100 million.
Yeah. I really like this move by John Daniels. And John Daniels right now, he's my favorite GM out of any GM in the whole entire game. I think what he did last season, getting Adrian Beltre and getting all his team ready to go. You always see this one pitcher that emerges from nowhere. A couple years ago with C.J. Wilson. Then it was Alexei Ogando. And they made the World Series the last 2 years, obviously. This is a great move. You see C.J. Wilson leave. And you could have gone out there and get Mark Burley. But really, I mean, Mark Burley, he's getting up there in age.
They need to make a big move.
Yeah, go across the season. Dice came out to Zach. When he came here, he was already, I think, 28 years old. Yu Darvish is only 22. And a lot of people say that his stuff is much, much better than Dice K's. And in Rangers, they have a hitting ballpark. However, I think Yu Darvish will be able to take down some of those lineups, the weak lineup of Seattle, the weak lineup of Oakland, and with the emergence of Alexei Ogando, Matt Harrison, you can come, Colby Lewis, you can throw him right there at number 3, number 2 starter, and I think he might have a big year. I think it was a real good vibe with Yu Darvish. But before we move on to the next thing here, with Yu Darvish, they also might have enough money to go and get Prince Fielder. Now, Peps, what's your opinion on Prince Fielder?
Well, I honestly, I mean, if you don't mind, if I throw in a couple points to Yu Darvish.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I kind of screwed it over there.
Yu Darvish, I mean, he did. I mean, I'm just throwing like quick stat out there. He had 93 and 38. You know, like about a 2 ERA over 7 seasons. So that's like averaging like 18 wins, 5 losses a season over there.
Yep.
So if you become 15 over in first season, you know, maybe try and come in and work his way in. The thing that I love what the Rangers did that I wanted to go over with is the fact that they actually got to know this young guy. They actually got to know him over the last 4 years, scouting him in Japan. They're very, very good, very friendly with his family. I love how they did that and how they incorporate that into it. And it's like more of a family relationship now. It's more like a lot of teams, you don't see them do that. It's more like, let's get this player, and we'll just take him in. It's like, you know, it's more of a binding relationship, which make the player feel comfortable. Which is another reason why I like what you said about GM doing that. It's really a respectful thing, and trust me, they even said that's the team he really wanted to sign with the Rangers. I mean, and with the Prince Fielder thing, I mean, I know what you're saying. That would be a very big move. I mean, I think the Yu Darvish move already was a big move in itself after losing C.J. Wilson to the Angels. It was a big loss. They had to do something like that, at least get them back on track. But I heard them saying on ESPN, I mean, I'm not trying to kill the thunder here. They're even saying it's very unlikely that they're going to...
And that he might be going to the
Nationals. They were saying, oh no, I get what you're saying. They said it's very unlikely he's going to go to the Rangers, but I mean, if he does, watch out for them.
Yeah, and
watch out for that team.
I like what you said about Yu Darvish's ERA too. Look at Daisuke. Daisuke had a sub-3 ERA in his career over there. Yu Darvish, much younger, has a sub-2 ERA. That's giving up another run less, and with all that experience, I really like Yu Darvish at this young age. I think that was a great move. I'm going to say one thing. If John Daniels, who is my favorite GM, like I just mentioned, if he does go and get Prince Fielder, I think that digresses from this offseason. I actually wouldn't like that move for them. I think what he's priding himself on is making these mid-season acquisitions. You know, you got Cliff Lee in the mid-season. If you get Prince Fielder, you will be so strapped to the salary, to luxury tax for the next years to come. Texas is in a huge market. So I would much rather like see, and also I'd be a little scared to go against the Prince Fielder.
That's what I'm saying, though. It'd be good. I think you don't think it would be a good move for them. I mean, understanding salary, but you don't think it'd be a nice move to throw another big bat?
I don't. I think that lineup is just as good. I think by putting Prince Fielder in there, it's gonna give up for the lack of
maybe another pitcher go after.
I think that for when another pitcher comes up, say next year, I'd definitely rather spend the money on another pitcher. I think that lineup is good enough to contend with the Angels for these next years to come. The one thing they do need to improve on is the rotation. With Yu Darvish, that was a great stride. However, with the Angels' rotation with Dan Herron, Jared Weaver, C.J. Wilson now, Irvin Santana, throw all those guys out there. The Rangers, I mean, they have some solid guys there, but I would much rather see them hold on to the money, and you know they're going to contend, especially with these 2 wild cards now instead of 1. They should be making the playoffs next year. I would much rather Daniels sit back and have tons of money to spend, and once the mid-season, July 31st comes, I'd much rather see them go after a starting pitcher. But I really like the Yu Darvish move. I would like to see Prince Fielder, not only for to get him out of the AL. I mean, to make sure that he doesn't go into the AL. I would love to see him go to the Nationals. A lot of people saying how the Marlins may contend for the Phillies. If he goes to the Nationals, I think the Nationals might eclipse.
The Nationals,
I think they might eclipse the Marlins as second best team in the NL East. right behind the Phillies there. And you can throw Prince Fielder right there with Jason Worth, Ryan Zimmerman, Danny Espinosa's had a huge year last year. Michael Morse had 31 home runs, 300 yards. 300 average.
Big moves.
They are.
A lot of big moves to increase that franchise.
Yep, and then also Gio Gonzalez right there with Steven Strasburg.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Zimmerman, keeping Drew Story, who's a great closer out there. I really like what the Nationals are doing. I think with Prince Fielder that would put them over the top, and they would definitely be a wild card contender.
Yes.
But moving on, I want to talk about this, if you don't mind me first.
That's fine.
The Yankees strike a deal for Michael Pineda and sign Hiroki Kuroda to bolster their rotation. I am the biggest Yankee hater there is, but I have tremendous respect for Brian Cashman from this offseason.
Yeah.
I will give him a solid A for this offseason. You always see him looking up to there. He was trying to get Carl Crawford last year. They were trying to make another big play to try to double up with what the Red Sox did. And I think that whole offseason there with the CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett, Mark Teixeira, I mean, anybody can do that. They had the money to spend. What the Yankees did, they sit back, they said, listen, we like our chances going into next year. We're going to keep our young guys. Get the Red Sox off their minds. You know, you got Ben Cherington out there. The Red Sox aren't going to make any big moves. You know that. I never heard the name Michael Pineda coming up in any rumor around the Yankees, surrounding the Yankees. And this couldn't have been a better move for the Yankees.
Yes.
I thought if the Yankees were going to make some big move, they might go get Mark Burley, who's not 34. Michael Pineda. A lot of people consider the Yankees as a very old team, especially on offense with Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, and that rotation there with CC, AJ Burnett, Freddie Garcia, Bartolo Colon. Michael Pineda is 22, which is younger than a lot of prospects coming up here, and had a monster year. Perfect complement to the southpaw CC Sabathia, who has a major power arm. You got Michael Pineda, who's going to be a K phenomenon for years to come. You know the Yankees are going to lock him up. They have endless money. Perfect move. And also the Hiroki Kuroda deal. Now, the Yankees with that elite offense comes in there going into the playoffs. You only really need 3 starters going into the playoffs. You need a bona fide number 1 and a 2 and a 3. The Yankees have that with CC Sabathia, Michael Pineda, and Hiroki Kuroda, who has a great playoff experience already. The guy comes in here. He is 36, but it's only a 1-year deal. He's a terrific guy who can give them a lot of innings. He's not a big strikeout pitcher, but he will get a lot of ground balls to come. The Yankees have one of the best infields in the game with A-Rod, Jeter, Cano, Teixeira. Great defense right there. You're going to see a lot of double plays with Hiroki Kuroda. I really like what the Yankees did right here. I will give Brian Cashman an A for his offseason, just in these 2 moves alone. Yeah. And I think it might have surpassed the Red Sox as the favorites in the AL East.
Oh, it did not might pass them. It definitely passed the Red Sox in the AL East. What I'm trying to say is that when I first heard about this going down, my dad's like, well, the Yankees are going to win the World Series. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, they got Pineda and they got Kuroda. I'm like, oh no, because this guy had an unbelievable rookie year last year. 22 years old in Safeco Field, whatever. I mean, granted it's in the West, but
it's a pitcher's ballpark, but still, he's a power guy.
He could get away with those high fly balls and everything. But I mean, he's still had a great year. Like you said, a very big strikeout pitcher, 173 strikeouts and 171 innings. Yeah. And he's very young. He's got a 95, 100-mile-per-hour fastball, a killer slider.
Mid-90s. He didn't.
Well, 95, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big trade, especially getting rid of Montero like that, too.
Yeah, and Jesus Montero, the Yankees always overvalue their prospects. I think Jesus Montero is just going to be the only one I've seen that really panned out. I thought Ian Kennedy was going to be a complete bust. He had a Cy Young type year last year. Jesus Montero, apparently he has all his power, and Jorge Posada just retired. Pencil in Jesus Montero as the catcher. However, they gave him a couple of years. He's never going to be a catcher. It looks like he's going to be a DH. The Yankees have a DH right there. As soon as Jeter's going to move from shortstop, they're going to need a DH for the next couple of years. Jeter's going to fill that role. The Yankees have all the hitting they need. They needed a bona fide second guy.
You don't have to worry about getting something like that.
You can say about where they got that short right porch there. Pineda's going to get lit up. So is everybody though. You got to throw somebody out there, and a power guy like Pineda, that's a perfect 2 complement. Like I said with CC Sabathia, the lefty, same type build. Pineda a little thinner there. However, CC can blow by with the nasty stuff with the slider and the fastball.
The thing is, that's such a huge move. I wish the Red Sox would do something like that, because the Yankees with Sabathia, with the southpaw, and then complementing with an excellent right-handed young pitcher who had an excellent rookie season, Pineda. I mean, this guy had the best opponent's batting average for right-handers against him. He was throwing, they were only hitting a 184 against this guy. Third most strikeouts in the whole entire AL passing Sabathia. And, I mean, it's just amazing what this guy can do at such a young age. I mean, I know Montero, he's looking at a great power threat for the future. It's like trading an apple for an orange.
Yeah.
You can say it like that. But, I mean, he only had 18 games. He batted 318, 320, something like that. I mean, I would take good pitching over good hitting any day. And if good pitching is this good, then I definitely love this move for the Yankees. I mean, granted, I'm a Red Sox fan, so I don't love that they made the move. I wish they didn't.
Yeah.
But they did make the move, and he's very good against righties. If he can develop a nasty changeup, then
He
that
has,
would make
he has
it.
some serious stuff.
But they're saying if he can develop a nasty changeup against those left-handed hitters, he will be nearly unstoppable in this AL.
And one more thing we got to move on here, though. You mentioned about the Red Sox. The Red Sox do have to make a move here. I think the Red Sox may have them a little bit on offense. However, and the Red Sox didn't need to make a Pineda move because they got the big three with Beckett, Lester, and Buchholz.
I'd like to see do something.
Throwing Bart out there. However, you can look about what the Red Sox offseason, and I give Charrington a solid C for this offseason.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make a big, huge splash. I didn't want him to go get a Prince Fielder. I didn't want him to go get a Yu Darvish type player, Mark Burley. I just wanted him to sit back, make the solid adjustments. Maybe getting a Michael Kadire for right field, that would have been huge for them. But I would really like to see him. There's one guy that's still out there on a 1-year deal. I would have liked to see him get Kuroda. Yankees got him, but Roy Oswalt. Right now, all the Red Sox have done is they let Papelbon go. They let their coach go, who broke the curse with Terry Francona. They let the GM, arguably the greatest GM of all time, with Theo Epstein, and Papelbon. Those three guys are out of here, and they bring in Valentine. Okay, they bring in Charrington, and they get Andrew Bailey. That's basically been their whole entire offseason. I know Andrew Bailey was a good addition. I know some of these other guys. I didn't like the Vincente Padilla addition at all. Carlos Silva. If you could name two guys I didn't want, if you can pin a bunch of clubhouses, they always say Carlos Silva and Vincente Padilla are two of the worst clubhouse guys there is. We go out and get both of them. I would really like to see them get a Roy Oswalt, who's always out of the media, does a great job, and just staying on his job. Shutting his mouth, staying on the field. A nice righty there, back into the rotation, just in case Bard falters a little bit. I would like to see them get Roy Oswalt. But we got to move on here. One more thing, VMR, Victor Martinez with his .330 average, 12 home runs over there in Detroit.
Yep.
He might be out for season. And Peps, what do you like about it? What do you think about this?
That's really going to hurt them. I mean, having him out for a whole season, they got to rethink this whole entire catcher position and everything.
Justin Verlander is going to have to pitch every 5 days, every day now. I would really like to see there's a couple guys that are still out there. Miguel Ordonez, who spent on the Tigers for the last couple of years. They need to go out and they need to get some guys. Maybe bring in a guy like Vladimir Guerrero, who's still out there. Maybe a Miguel Ordonez. Maybe take a gamble on Manny. But there's one thing a lot of people say, oh, well, what are they going to do for catching? They had an all-star catcher. He's the all-star catcher for the AL last year in Alex Avila. He's a great up-and-coming catcher in this game. Very young guy. Throw Alex Avila in there. Don't worry about catching. All you got to do is make up for this offense. But, I mean, White Sox have lost a lot over there in Chicago. This isn't a very good division. I think it's the weakest of the three in the AL.
I don't think it'll hurt him as much as it's going to be made out to be.
Yeah, that's true. And especially Alex Avila right there as a catcher, I don't think it's a big deal. It's not as much as everyone's thinking, like Pep said. But now on to NBA. And this is why I'm wearing this shirt. A lot of people are like, oh, why is he wearing a Patriots shirt there? But this is huge, huge news. Danny Ainge has publicly said, and I think this is a dumb move for him to say, he says he's open to, if the right deal comes in, he talked about all this stuff of what Red Auerbach could have done and when he could have traded Bird, Parrish, McHale when they were aging.
Yeah. And
he comes out and says, listen, if the right deal comes along, I will definitely trade all three of Pierce, Gurnett, and Allen. Obviously, listen, if you can get a first-round pick.
If you think about it, though, he could be doing it for multiple reasons. Yeah. Maybe for the fact of incentive for these players to wake up and show that they're not really a friggin' 5-8 team in this. I mean, it's just ridiculous that there's like everyone's just they're not producing, they're not meshing well really together. I mean, Rondo gets his. I mean, Allen's leading point scorer. It's just they seem to be falling off. I went to a couple games this season. I've definitely seen it's not the same team that mesh together, and I don't really like their second line. At second line, the best people I like.
Bass.
I like Bass. That's about it.
Very good.
I don't like. I actually don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Steamsma. He's a good blocker, but they don't do much otherwise. And Marquise Daniels trying to run around the floor doing everything. He can't do everything. He's not even that good.
See, I don't mind the bench, but I
like
gotta disagree with you a little bit here, Peps. I don't think this is a wake-up call. I think this is literally Danny Ainge saying, "Listen, we know we're not gonna contend. We're not gonna be. You can say right now. I don't care what you say. Oh, they got experience. They got 4 guys instead of 3.
Doesn't matter. They're old.
They are not ever gonna beat the Bulls, Thunder, Heat, any of those teams. I don't even think they could beat the Knicks, or God forbid, even the 76ers." Any team that they go up against in the first round, I don't think they will beat them in a 7-game series. They will never beat the Heat in a 7-game series, never beat the Bulls. All the other ones are crapshoot. I don't want to take the risk. I would much rather see them tank, get a nice first-round pick and stay in Austin Rivers, and rather than seeing them go for the A seed. If they go for the A seed, they're going to be playing Chicago or Miami in the first round. It's not even worth it.
So
I don't care if they're a playoff team. This is way beyond Pierce. Oh, we gotta go for the A seed. Absolutely not. Now they go everything to this big 3 for getting the championship. And if Ainge is saying this, I truly believe that not only one of them will be gone by the trade deadline. I think all 3. Or at least Allen and Garnett will be gone by the trade deadlines.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there. I know Pierce, he's the most valuable because he does have a couple of years left.
And
he's the youngest guy of 3.
To stay.
A lot of people say Pierce is the most valuable. And a lot of people saying that Pierce might even go to the Lakers, which is a travesty. However, I don't think Danny Ainge will ever. I know you can say what about loyalty. I know you can say, and I know more than anybody about saying, oh, we gotta invest in the future. I'm all about sacrificing the future. I came on here last year and said I'm willing to trade Tim Thomas and keep Tuukka Rask. I'm all about the future. I know it's a business. However, I want to keep Pearson on this team no matter what. I want to keep Rondo. However, it would be completely asinine for Danny Ainge to keep both Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen on this team. I love Ray Allen. I love Kevin Garnett.
They're taking up all the spots right in the starting lineup. They're getting old. And granted, they're unbelievably talented superstars.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're unbelievably talented superstars overall in general.
In their prime, yeah.
In general, they're unbelievably talented superstars.
You would say Kevin Garnett.
I'm not saying right now. I'm saying in general they are superstars.
Okay.
They got paid all this money to come here because they are superstars.
Yeah.
They won a championship because they are superstars.
All right,
play together.
I understand, yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, the way you go about this, and I mean, I understand you disagree with me, but I wasn't really, what I was trying to say was, you can go with this one of 2 ways. You can go with this trying to amp them up and trying to get them to play some ball like the real Celtics always did. And the second thing, also, just the fact of maybe he will actually trade. Now, I bet he actually does have something up his sleeve. I would not be surprised. Danny Ainge is a very good.
Some serious balls.
He is some serious balls. He's a very good GM.
He'll do anything.
He is very good. He got rid of Perkins. I could see him. I go about this 3 different ways if possible. Like you said, getting rid of Allen Garnett. And I think here's what they were saying. They said get rid of the young talent like Rajon Rondo, who has a lot of trade value, and this would be a very big move for them to get rid of him, so we can get some nice young players around us and start to amp up the offense a little bit more. And secondly, if that doesn't work, that's when you get rid of Paul Pierce. That's what they're saying, get rid of Paul Pierce. If you can't ship Rondo, if you can't ship Garnett and Allen, that's when you get rid of the heart and soul of Celtics. And nothing works to the point where it's we're gonna completely blow the season. Last ditch effort, we gotta get rid of Pierce. We gotta get rid of him and probably ship Garnett and Allen with them. That's rather if Pierce goes, Garnett and Allen are going with them.
All right, Peps. I just want to say a couple more things before we move on. I know Danny Ainge, and I like what you're saying. The Celtics 5-8. I know that's crap. You can't be doing this. However, these guys, usually when people are trying to give wake-up calls, it's usually young guys. Say like a good example is like I said with Michael Singletary and Vernon Davis. The guy's young. You don't try to wake up guys who are 38, 36, 37 years old.
You do if they're slacking.
I know, but it's a different thing.
My favorite player, Ray Allen, never slacks, so we'll give it to the other ones.
The other two.
Yeah.
But I think with this team, they know in their hearts. I think this is the true problem. I think in their hearts, they know they've already won the championship, and they know no matter how hard they try, they will never beat the Chicago Bulls or Miami Heat in the season. So it's almost unworth it for them. I would look at what Danny Ainge is doing. The only thing I love what Danny Ainge has done on his team. I love what he did to bring in these guys. I love what he did to keep Rajon Rondo here. The one thing I don't like about this is making it so public, and that's going to decrease.
No, it's good.
But it's going to decrease their trade value.
Why?
Because now teams know that
they're off the mark. Teams know, wow, we could possibly get these guys, add veteran experience to our teams. Maybe like a team like OKC had some veteran experience.
But Danny, by putting it out there, teams are already calling. There were 7 teams that already called about Paul Pierce.
Exactly.
They can. That's making my point for me. They could literally say, "Oh, listen, Paul Pierce he's the captain of the team. We don't want to get rid of this guy." And it would up the value. They say, "Listen, what if we give you a couple first-round picks for him?" By saying that we will put all 3 of them on the trade market. They will get more calls. I like what you're saying about that, Pierce. I like what you're saying about that, Peps. Yeah. However, it's going to decrease their value. And they say, listen, these are old guys, so you guys are going to win. You're 5-8 here.
They're still
we're not going to give you 2 first-round picks for these guys. But there's one more thing. I want to move on. I want to move on a little bit here.
Well, I kind of want to say something.
Yeah, I know. I'll get to you one more thing. But one more thing for both of us here. The greatest draft in my generation here was the 2003 draft, which landed Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh in one draft. A couple of other guys down there in the line there with 2003. They are saying that this 2012 draft, it doesn't have that star guy at the top like a LeBron James or Carmelo Anthony, but is the deepest draft 1 through 32 since that 2003 draft. Now, so with this Danny Ainge thing, I don't think a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're going to go out there, maybe trade Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen for James Harden and the Thunder. That would make the Thunder better. That would give us James Harden. Maybe go out to Indiana and maybe trade Paul Pierce in a first rounder for Danny Granger." Absolutely not. This is what I'm doing. I'm keeping Rajon Rondo here, absolutely. And I'm not a huge Rajon Rondo fan and saying that he's going to be the number 1 for the next 5 years or so. I think he needs another guy like a Dwight Howard or Kevin Love with him. But I want to keep Rajon Rondo for one factor. Rajon Rondo I've never seen him more professional after all those Chris Paul rumors. Rajon Rondo can come in here and he said, "Listen, I'm going to brush all those rumors aside. I know I have a lot of trade value to go here. I'm going to be the key to the future, Celtics' future. I'm going to keep Rajon Rondo on this team. And that's a building block for the future." Now, take Paul Pierce, take Ray Allen, take Kevin Garnett. If you could ship them to, who cares who you're going to trade them to? I don't want to trade them to the Lakers, but that's cool. If the Lakers are the only team that ship each one of them.
Stupid move.
Say, all right, Pierce.
You're feeding the king.
Hold on, 1 sec.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're
giving Kobe Bryant more power.
But it doesn't. It's for the Celtics' future. It's not for this season. So I don't care about the season. I don't care if the Celtics Lakers win the championship.
But that could affect us.
We're not going to win the championship. But I'm saying, if you throw Pierce, if you throw Garnett, you throw Ray Allen to different teams, and say you bring back a couple building blocks, say you bring back, say, Serge Ibaka from the Thunder, who's another building block, and you get 3 first-round picks in this draft, along with your first-round pick right now, and the Clippers' unprotected 2012 pick. You now have Rajon Rondo in enough cap room to sign 3 max contract guys as well as 5 first-rounders. And you would be a complete idiot for Danny Ainge to not make that move. If you have Rajon Rondo, 5 first-rounders from the deepest draft since 2003, as well as enough cap room to get 3 more guys in here, I think that says a lot for the Celtics' future. And I think that might entice Dwight Howard to come to Boston. That's what I'm saying about I will be in favor of trading all 3 of them.
I know you will. I know you're cutthroat like that. But what I'm saying is you just went from don't trade Pierce, heart and soul of this team, to let's screw them all. We'll just get rid of them. You just went from like 2 minutes from that to that.
I'm not trading Paul Pierce for
you said Pierce, Allen, and Garnett to different teams. That's what you just said.
Absolutely.
So I'm getting rid of them.
If I'm getting first-round picks, I'm not doing it for young players. That's what I'm saying.
Why wouldn't you do it for semi-developed players?
Because I want to keep the cap room. I want to keep the cap room, and I want to be able to hit this free agent class pretty good with Darren Williams, with Chris Paul. with Dwight Howard and Darren
Back to the
Williams.
move. This move had to be made because if Ainge didn't step up and say something now, then that's not being a good GM. That's being a GM who sits on his butt. All right, we'll say sits on his butt and
Sits on his
does
ass, yeah.
and does nothing. Yeah, well, I kind of want to keep it.
PG.
Yeah, sits on his butt and does nothing, and doesn't even try to make a team like better with the Celtics. It's just if you don't throw this out there, granted you get media attention, you get people looking at this stuff. You get people saying, "Wow, maybe they're on the market. Maybe Rondo's on the market. We'd be interested in Rondo." You get, like I said, it's good that you'll be getting calls, but eventually you're going to have to get rid of people. I mean, I honestly don't believe that person should be Pierce. I mean, granted, whatever you just said, getting rid of them to different teams, I don't agree. I don't want a Serge Ibaka to come over here. I'm sorry, I don't want him.
Serge Ibaka, the block
I
over there.
don't want him to come over here. I want someone
breaking records for dunks
better.
over there.
Dunks can make you look good. They're not going to win you
Serge
championships.
Ibaka. No,
Okay?
I'm not saying that the Celtics are going to go for the next 10 years with Rajon Rondo and Serge Ibaka. So I'm looking at
Yeah,
him
but what
as
I'm
a
saying
building block.
is, I understand that, but just getting that for all that, I mean,
No, absolutely
are you
not.
saying the first? Is that with the first rounders?
Something like that.
Okay,
Say you
all
throw
right,
out
okay, I
maybe
hear
another
what you're
Brandon
saying.
Bass or something.
But I feel like if Danny Ainge would have been a very, very shitty GM if he didn't do something like this when they haven't been looking the same since the last time they lost in the finals to the Lakers in 7. If he didn't do this now, then nothing was ever going to happen. And these guys are to the point where they're coming to the ends of their career, but they're still good enough to get some value. But I honestly just Pierce, I would not trade. I wouldn't want to trade Allen because he's my favorite. But I mean, I wouldn't mind getting rid of Garnett. I would not mind getting rid of Rajon Rondo.
I wouldn't either.
I would not mind getting rid of him. I honestly don't mind getting rid of him so we can get more talent on the team. So we can help the veterans, can help the more young point guards.
Yes, we got to move on here, but I just want to say one thing. You just said you would not trade Paul Pierce. What happens? Say the Thunder, who's contending right now, say, listen, we're going to give you two first-round picks straight right now for Paul Pierce.
That's never gonna happen.
But what happens if they did? You would still keep Paul Pierce?
Then God would come down and give Tebow a Super Bowl ring because that's not going to happen.
But what if it's already been in there that the Lakers are willing to trade a first-round pick this year and possibly get rid of Paul Gasol, bring in another piece, make a 3-team deal.
He's old,
and,
dude.
And the Celtics would be able to get 2 first-round picks for Paul Pierce. And you would not trade Paul Pierce for 2 first-round picks.
No.
You wouldn't?
No, I would not. I would not do that. It's like they'll just dump. Then the Lakers might as well just dump Kobe too, right? So
no. See, this is the thing. I think you owe it to Paul Pierce.
You owe it to Paul Pierce to give him the option to stay or not.
You're not.
Go on that damn option. I don't care what you say.
Wait, Peps. I just want to say one thing here. I just want to say one thing. That's what you know. Paul Pierce is going to be in the rafters and put his number 34 in the rafters. You know he's going to go to the Hall of Fame as a Celtic jersey. But you couldn't owe it to him. Listen. We know you brought us a championship here. You've gone through the bad. You've gone through the good. We are willing to trade you to a contender. You can either suck here for another couple of years, go through another. He's already gone through a rebuilding process. Why would he want to go through it again? Get him out of here. Throw him to the Lakers. And I like I said, I would rather keep Paul Pierce than trade him. But if you're going to get 2 first-round picks for Paul Pierce, I'm definitely making that move.
No.
No? All right.
I think he's the best value out of all 3 of them.
We got one more thing here. Russell Westbrook signs a 5-year. Scott, how much minutes we got left? 7 article. Russell Westbrook signs a 5-year, $80 million deal, and so much for all that chemistry with Kevin Durant. This means the Thunder are sticking with Russell Westbrook.
That's great. From a GM standpoint, I love this deal because you have a young guy in Westbrook locked up for 5 years. I think they have Durant locked up at a 5-year, $82 million deal too. Still, I think they still have him there.
You got Perk,
right? You got Perk, like Ibaka too, right?
They don't have Ibaka or Harden locked up.
No, I mean they have them. Like, here's the thing, though. The problem with those 2 guys is next year they're going to be like, where's my signing bonus? And that's where Oklahoma's going to have to start making decisions with all these problems, with all these other additional add-ons to the team, trying to make Oklahoma better and, support Durant and Westbrook. I think that's a great deal for Oklahoma. You lock up another young guy who eventually I honestly believe will get over his own selfish habits and will be a team player because Oklahoma right now, they're 12-3?
Something like that.
They're 12-3, so they're doing really good. And I honestly think this will be a team who will win championships in the future. Real
quickly, before we move on to one thing in NHL, Russell Westbrook, yes, the Celtics go out there, they get a big 3 of Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. Miami goes out there to get a big 3 in their prime with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. with this Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant deal, you now have these guys locked up for 5 years at the age of 25. And a lot of people say that Russell Westbrook may be better than Kevin Durant long term because of his defense.
Okay, all right.
And because of his position. But with Russell Westbrook, and I like what you said, they're going to have to get more pieces if they have to let Harden and Ibaka go.
I also think they
However,
might want to lock those two up.
yeah, I mean, if they have the cap room. However, if they do have to let them go, players like Paul Pierce, veteran type guys, are going to want to come here, win a championship with Westbrook, Durant, and Perkins. I love this move. We got to move on to NHL. One more thing. The Rangers are going to be playing the Bruins here, and it's up for grabs. As a lot of people say, these are the two teams favored to go into the Eastern Conference Championship. Who is the better team right now? Bruins, Rangers. I know we'll see it, but right now, who's the better team? Rangers, Bruins.
I honestly think the Bruins are.
Yeah.
I know the Rangers. They were
Give like
facing
2 points. 2 points.
What?
Give like 2
I know
points.
the Rangers. They were facing the Penguins the other night. They look pretty bad. I know it's the Penguins.
Yeah.
But still losing 4-1 like that, they look kind of down on themselves a little bit. I think the Bruins are coming back, especially after coming back from being down 1-0 to the Devils at night. 4-1 sweep, taking Brodeur to the house. I mean, I really like the Bruins at 30-13-1. I mean, I just love this, and I'm loving it. I'm seeing repeat all over the place.
Best goalie tandem in the game right now in Tuca and Tim Thomas. In my opinion, best defenseman in the game. Best defense there is, and you got the best depth at forwards right there for the Bruins. They lead the league with +70. Lead the league in goals for, lead the league in goals against. I like the Bruins way over the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to win 4-2, and I like what Henrik Lundqvist is, but I think this, with the experience and all this adversity the Bruins are going through, and all this cap room, I like the Bruins. That's all we have for right now. You're watching The Pitch. Tune in 2 weeks.